Shalom everyone and welcome to Busisiwe, blessed in English, Baruch in Hebrew, which means increase, fruitfulness, and multiplication. Excuse me, my name is Abigail. Excuse me. We are now closing the series, wrapping up the series which we started titled, What is the Reign of Yahuwah? We were looking at the definition of the reign of Yahuwah according to what Shaul told us in the book of Romans chapter 14 verse 17, which says that for the reign of Yahuwah is not eating and drinking. So Shaul is defining the reign of Yahuwah firstly by what it is not. It is not eating and drinking. But then if it is not eating and drinking, what is it? It is obedience. What is obedience? We learned that the Hebrew word for obedience is shama, which means to listen, to give attention, to understand, to submit, and to subject ourselves to. And we also in this teaching looked at who are we to submit to, and we find that answer in Ephesians chapter 5, that Yahusha is the one that we are to submit to, who is our husband, and we as an assembly collectively we are his bride or his wife, which Shaul speaks about it, that this is a mystery that is not only talking about husband and wife, but it's actually talking about Yahusha and the assembly, the one where in the book of Genesis it says that therefore a man shall leave his mother and father, and he shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one. That also referred not just to Adam and Kua or Eve, but it spoke of Yahusha, who left the Shamayim, who left the heaven, who left his father in the Shamayim and came down here on the Aretz, came down here on earth and took our position and exchanged the curses that was upon our lives as a result of sin and disobedience, and he gave us his blessings. He then took our sin, a lawlessness upon himself, who died for us, and when we rose, and then we were restored to Aleph Beth, to the Father, that we can now cry and say Father to Yahuwah, and say Aleph Beth to, which means Father, to Yahuwah. And as a result, we became one with Yahusha, and in that he became then our husband, and we collectively as an assembly became his bride, as the word says that he is the head of the assembly, and we are the body of one body, his body. And it is for this reason that we also spoke about what happened in Acts chapter 26, when he then approached Shaul as he was going to persecute the assembly. He said to him, Shaul, Shaul, why are you persecuting me? Because he is one with the assembly. When you touch the assembly, you touch him. When you bless the assembly, you bless him. When you bless the body, you bless the head, for he is one with the body. This is who we are to submit and to subject ourselves to. And we also spoke about who is understanding. We also find out in the book of Proverbs chapter 8 that Yahusha is understanding. He is the one that we are to attend to listen to. For even the words tells us that in the old days, Yahuwah spoke to our fathers through his prophets, but in the last days, in the latter days, he has spoken to us through his son, and his son being Yahusha HaMashiach. He is the one that is revealing the Father to us, who is revealing Yahuwah to us, whom Moshe also spoke of when he said, there is a message. He says that, yes, I'm the one that is leading you now out of Mitzrayim, or out of Egypt, into the promised land. But after me there shall come, Yahuwah will send another messenger. And this messenger you must listen to, for he will not take it lightly for you to disobey him. This is Yahusha that is referring to, that we are to listen and to give attention to, who is the Word, as we also find it in the book of Yahuwah, which says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yahuwah. So Yahusha is the Word of Yahuwah. We then also spoke about that the reign of Yahuwah is Shalom, and we also went into detailed explanation as to what is Shalom. And then we said that Shalom speaks of wholeness, it speaks of completeness, of safety, of prosperity, of safety. And then this particular teaching is now looking at another part of this definition of the reign of Yahuwah, which is joy. And it says, for the reign of Yahuwah, it is not eating and drinking, but obedience, peace, and joy in the Ruach HaKodesh, in the Ruach of Yahuwah. So this joy is not subject to your bank account. This joy is not subject to all conditions are nice, all is well. This joy must be in him. If it is not in him, then it is not joy. And what is joy in Hebrew? And this is now what we are looking at, I've been saying that we've been looking at the teachings from the Hebrew perspective. And joy in Hebrew, it is Shymcha. Shymcha. Some people say Shymcha or Shamacha, but it is Shymcha, which is joy in Hebrew. Now, what is that? It speaks of gladness. It speaks of delight. It speaks of exultation. It's more than just happiness. It's actually not happiness. It is joy. It is delight. It's exultation. It's gladness. If we look at the book of Matthew chapter 3 verse 16 to 17, or Matthew chapter 3 verse 16 to 17, we see that Yahuwah says that Yahusha is his delight. Yahuwah says that Yahusha is his delight. Remember what is Shymcha, the explanation of the meaning of Shymcha. It is delight, it is joy, it is gladness. And Yahuwah actually called Yahusha his delight. He actually calls him his joy. He actually calls him his Shymcha. And we find this, as I said, in the book of Matthew chapter 3 verse 16 to 17, and it reads, and having been immersed, Yahusha went up immediately from the water, and see, the Shamayim, or the heavens, were opened, and he saw the Ruach of Yahuwah descending like a dove and coming upon him, and see a voice out of the Shamayim saying, this is my son, the beloved, in whom I delight, in whom I am well pleased, in whom I delight, in whom I have joy. This is the definition of joy that is only found in the Ruach of Yahuwah, which is only found in Yahuwah. This is Shymcha, which is delight, gladness, exultation. Another element, what we see also, is that not only is Yahuwah calling Yahusha his delight, not only is Yahuwah saying that Yahusha is his delight or his joy, but Yahusha himself, he calls us human beings, he calls us mankind his delight. When Yahusha looks at us as mankind, he sees he's delighted in us. He takes joy, pleasure in us. And this we find in the book of Mashal chapter 8, verse 30 to 31, otherwise known as Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 30 to 31, and it says, "Then I was with him." So Yahusha is the one speaking, and as Yahusha is speaking, he is speaking as a parable, or figuratively as wisdom. Because if you read this, the Proverbs chapter 8, it says, "I, wisdom, I, understanding, was beside him." Him who? Yahuwah. Beside him when he was doing what? When he was creating. For he is the creator. Yahuwah is the creator. Yahusha did not create anything, but he observed, he saw Yahuwah when he was creating. In fact, we went through this teaching previously that Yahusha himself, and we find it in the book of Proverbs. Please read the entire book of Proverbs. You will get this. I am not blaspheming when I say that Yahusha was created. He was brought forth. It says, as I was in the book of Proverbs, Yahusha says that I was brought forth. I am the first of the creation, the first begotten of the Father. When we hear the word talk about that he is the begotten of the Father, it refers to begotten of him, brought forth of him before the day one of creation. Then, now that we know that wisdom is Yahusha, now that we know that understanding, which you also found in this teaching when we were looking at Shema, the question was, who is understanding? And now that we know that Yahusha is understanding, he now is saying that I was beside Yahuwah, an Adon workman. What does it mean, Adon workman? Yahuwah is an Adon workman, the master workman, the master creator, the master of creation. Yahusha was just beside him, enjoying what he was seeing. And he continues to say, Yahusha, and I was his delight. Yeah, just like I read in the book of Matthew chapter 3, verse 16 to 17, or Matthew chapter 3, verse 16 to 17, that Yahusha is Yahuwah's delight. It's also repeated in Proverbs or Mashal chapter 8, verse 30 to 31, that I was his delight, yom by yom, or day by day, rejoicing before him in all, rejoicing before him all the time, rejoicing in the world, his arrest, and my delight were with the Son of Man. Yahusha's delight was with the Son of Man. Yahusha, just like Yahuwah says about Yahusha, this is my son in whom I am delighted. This is my son, my joy. Yahusha says that also about us, mankind. That is why he laid down his life for us. That is why when Yahuwah saw that who can restore mankind unto himself, who can reconciliate mankind unto himself after the fall, after the sin, Yahusha said, I will go. Just like we even see in the book of Yeshaya or Isaiah, where Yeshaya or Isaiah had that vision where he says that he saw Yahuwah in his throne and the train of his presence or of his esteem or of his glory filled the temple, and he heard the voices, who shall go for us? Who shall I send? And Yeshaya or Isaiah says, here am I, send me. And in this particular case, we see also when there was that situation, that how is mankind going to be restored to Yahuwah, as the book of Yahuah chapter 3 verse 16, or Yahuah or John 3 verse 16 says, for Yahuah so loved the world. He so loved the people that he gave his only begotten, brought forth, begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him would not perish but would have everlasting life. So Yahuah loves us himself. We are his delight. We are his joy. Not only does he love us, but even Yahushua himself loves us so much that he laid down his life for us. That even before we sinned, as it says here, when Yahuah was creating, that he says, my delights were with the Son of Man. Even as the word tells us that Yahushua is the lamb that was slain before the creation of the world. That is an amazing, mind-boggling understanding or expression of love, that before we even fall into sin, Yahuah had already made plan for us to restore us unto himself. But Yahushua could have said no. And we know this, that when he was in the garden of Gethsemane, and he was crying out, the word said that he even cried tears up until blood, saying, Father, remove this cup from me. It was such a painful experience that he went through. But yet he says, not my will, but your will be done. He went through that agony to fulfill the will of the Father, for he loved the Father so much. He had so much delight in the Father, and the Father delighted in him. And he loved us so much that he took this position, that position for us, even up until being nailed, pierced on a tree for us. This is how much he is delighted with us. And this is thou also speak of and defining what is delight, what is joy. So what is important also, speaking about another element of joy, which is gladness. It's very important that whatever it is that we do, we should do it with gladness of heart and not do it out of compulsion. Otherwise, rather not do it. Don't do something if you're not doing from the heart of gladness. If you're not doing from the heart of delight, or if it is from the heart of joy, don't do it. Don't do something for the sake of being praised by people. A lot of people, they give to people so that they can be praised. Oh, this person is such a loving person. Did you see that he offered so much money at church? Or did you see that he gave to the poor? Did you see that he paid so and so's rent? That's why Yahuah says in his word, do not let your left hand know what the right hand is doing. When you're doing a charitable aspect or act, a good aspect, a loving aspect, do not stand on the rooftop and shout it out and say, nimbona nje imina engimenzele ukuthi nokuthi nokuthi, or imina engimsize ngokuthi nokuthi nokuthi. He was unable to pay his bills. He was unable to take his children to school, or she was not able to do X, Y, and Z. I am the one that helped them. Don't do it then, because then the motive is to exalt yourself. The motive is that you've been seen as better than other people, that you get other people's praises. And that's why Yahushua says, then if you're getting other people's praises, then that's it. You're not going to get Yahuwah's appreciation because you've already sought and received praises from men. It's very important that while you are doing what you're doing, do it because you are led by the Ruach of Yahuah. Do it because it comes from the heart of Yahuah, which is the heart of giving, the heart of love, the heart of delight, the heart of joy, not having, not giving out of you want to be praised, not even giving out of compulsion. Not out of compulsion means that you are afraid that if you don't give, certain thing is going to happen. Yahuwah wants us to serve him from the gladness of our hearts. I'm even beyond giving. I'm just now talking about serving Yahuwah in whichever capacity that you are serving him. You could be serving him as being ushering people in an assembly. You could be serving him as the people were serving in the tables in the book of Acts when the emissaries or the sent out one, otherwise known as the apostles, they said, we need to dedicate ourselves, we need to dedicate our time to prayer and the word. So let us appoint amongst ourselves 7 men who are Yah-fearing, who fear Yahuwah, who are going to serve on the tables, because we cannot now be boiled down into the complaint of the Greek women and the Jewish women complaining to say that the Jewish women or the Yahudim are being taken care of and the Greek ones are not being taken care of, who got more bread than the other, who didn't get what. We can't be involved at that particular level, for we need to focus on the word. We need to focus on prayer on your behalf, because we serve you in the word. We serve you through prayers and intercession. We stand in the gap. We make a wall for you. So take care of this element. It's not undermined. The people that we saw serving in those tables were people like Stephen, who when how he died, he was stoned for his belief in Yahuwah, for his stand in the word of Yahuwah, that he was stoned. And when he was stoned, he did not cry, but he actually said to Yahuwah, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. He still pleaded for their mercy. He still stood in the gap and interceded for them when they were actually hurting him, when they were actually killing him, and he died. And when that happened, Yahusha Hamashiach, which the word tells us that he is seated at the right hand of the Father in the Shamayim, we are told in the way that Yahusha stood up. He was standing. Yahusha stood for Stephen. He actually received Stephen through a standing ovation, that you are the one that I'm pleased with. And this is the person who was not an emissary. He was not an apostle. He was not a sent out one. He was serving in the tables. This another example of the person that we see serving in the tables is Philip. We see Philip was one of the 7 that were also serving the table, and Yahuwah, the Ruach of Yahuwah used him mightily, moving him from one place to another. That is the same Philip who shared the message of the kingdom of Yahuwah to an Ethiopian eunuch, an Ethiopian treasurer, who was reading the book of Yashia or Isaiah, but did not understand it. And Yahuwah, through his Ruach, through his spirit, had to send miraculously, did not use a horse, did not use a chariot, did not use a plane, did not use any form of transport. He moved him in the Ruach, in the spirit, from one place to the other, as this Ethiopian eunuch or Ethiopian treasury was coming from Jerusalem, going back to Ethiopia on his way. That's how he got the message of the reign of Yahuwah. And there he was immersed by someone who is serving on the tables, not a so-called big man of God, as people use these titles that they shouldn't be doing. So serving Yahuwah does not mean that you're serving Yahuwah in the what is so-called fivefold ministry, which refers to the teachers, the pastors or shepherds, the evangelists, or the what you call the koheleth or preachers, the prophets or the nabim, or the apostles or the emissaries. No, beyond that, we serve Yahuwah with the gift, whether it's a gift of music that he gives us. And those all these gifts are listed also in the book of Corinthians. When you serve Yahuwah, then you need to serve him with the gladness of heart, not from fear that something bad is going to happen to you if you do not serve him. He doesn't want to be served out of fear or out of intimidation. That, like the world system, you know, they say, oh, if you don't go and be isangoma, then you're gonna lose, or a witch doctor, you're gonna lose all that you have. So now people have to follow this calling, or ubis, or go twice, to be trainees or disciples in being a witch or a traditional healer. If you don't do that, to follow the path of being a traditional healer, through that calling, or through that follow, bad things are going to happen to you. Curses are going to happen to you. So you are now following this so-called calling, or ubizo, to be a traditional healer, or to take from your grandmother or from your grandfather, because if you don't, something bad is going to happen to you. Some curses are going to follow you, or curses are following you already because of the calling. That's not how Yahuwah operates. That is the kingdom of darkness that operates with fear, with intimidation, that if you don't do this, this is going to happen to you. He wants us to serve him from the gladness of heart. He doesn't want us also to serve him with ulterior motives of hoping to get something, or trying to get something, such as favor or anything else. Some people I've had, and this is not, people take this as a joke, but for me it's not a joke because it's not funny. Someone said, apparently it's a joke regarding someone from Malawi, that he was starving in Malawi, and his father said, go to South Africa and open a church, because in South Africa everything goes, so many people come, and then they just they call themselves that they are called, they're performing so-called miracles, which they are basically operating in the spirit of divination and witchcraft, just to say the least. But the point there is that people think that running a church is a way of getting money. So you must start a church so that you can get money. Those motives are wrong. Let alone the whether you're gonna, even if you do not practice witchcraft, which is something totally different. But if your motive is that you're doing this so that you can get money, then your motive is in the wrong place. That's why Shimon, otherwise known Peter, said to this man who wanted to pay for the miracles, he says, you perish with your money, for you think that the reign of Yahuwah can be bought with money. You cannot buy the reign of Yahuwah through money. And as such, you cannot go and say that you want to serve Yahuwah so that you can have money. It is not a career. If you want a career, go and have a career. If you want a career, go have a job. If you want a career, go start a business. But you must serve him because he is, because you love him. And that heart of serving him is, he is the one that put that desire in your heart. That's why the word says, delight yourself in Yahuwah, and he will give you the desires of your heart. For as you delight yourself in him, he will then share his desires concerning your life, his plans concerning your life, your purpose in life. So it's not just you that has an idea of serving Yahuwah. Why would you want to serve Yahuwah when there's so many other lucrative jobs out there that you could be doing? You are serving Yahuwah because Yahuwah called you, and you must honor it and respect it as such. That it is not just because you couldn't do maths, because you couldn't do science, because you couldn't do accounting, well, the next thing to do then is to go to Bible school. It's wrong motive. You cannot be saying that you're going to pastor a church because you have failed in any other things that you wanted to do, or you couldn't do any other things, so might as well go run the church. No. In fact, going even to the running the church, not even talking about the fivefold ministry as it is termed. Not all our gifts are to be shepherds or to be pastors, There are certain people that are just have a gift of teaching. The fact that you are a teacher doesn't mean that you must start a church. The fact that you are a teacher doesn't mean that you must be having people that you are running a church. No. The fact that that you are a prophet, you have a gift as a prophet, as in an office of a prophet, it doesn't mean that now you must run a church. You need to operate in the gift that Yahuwah has given you. Shepherds is a separate gift. Or from the terminology that we use to pastors. Shepherds is a gift on its own. Not everyone. Not because you have an understanding of the word, therefore you must now be a pastor. Because Yahuwah reveals his word to you, therefore now you must run a church. No, it doesn't mean that. You need to serve him according to what he has told you, revealed to you, deposited in you, and he will cause you to prosper. Whether you prosper as a preacher, otherwise known as Koheleth in Hebrew, or as a teacher, or as a prophet, or a nabim, or as an apostle and emissary, he will cause your prosperity is in you walking in the path that Yahuwah laid for you. And you must do that because he has called you, because it's laid in your heart, not for any other motives or any other reason. He doesn't force us to serve him. That's why also concerning giving, which is not limited to financial giving, giving also includes giving of your time, giving of your gift. There's so many people in the assembly that can play instrument, that can put together music beautifully, that can sing. Not all of us can sing. I can speak. I have a gift of speaking, but I'm not gifted to sing. Yes, we all must sing and worship Yahweh, but there are certain people who are specifically have a gift of singing. And that's why when I made reference to the album or the group Alicia Psalms, it's those people that Yahuwah has a gift that he has given them, that he has given me the gift of writing songs. So when I've written the songs, I then know my lane. I then know that we are in the assembly together, and then say, who then has a gift of singing? And then those people then will sing what Yahuwah has revealed to me through the lyrics that he would have given me. And not only the lyrics, Yahuwah can give me the lyrics, I can write music, but I can write songs, let me put it that way. I can write songs, but I can't put music together. And to that extent, I then rely on my producer, the producer that Yahuwah brought into my life. And in this case, the producer for Alicia Psalms is Siso Kumgan. He is the one that has a gift of putting music together, of putting a song to be a polished, nice song, and move it beyond just the lyrics or the words to the song that everybody can be able to sing to. This is what is important in the house of Yahuwah, that we need to honor each other's gift and not compete with other one's gift, but honor and embrace one's gift. And we need to serve Yahuwah with those gifts without being forced into serving Yahuwah. Even giving financially, it should not be out of compulsion. For we read in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 7, it says, let each one give as he has decided in his heart. You need to decide in your heart before you even meet as an assembly. And you must not give grudgingly or under compulsion, for Yahuwah loves a cheerful giver. Yahuwah loves a joyful giver. Yahuwah loves a delightful giver. Yahuwah loves a giver who gives from the gladness of his heart. You do not need scriptures to be knocked on your head then and be threatened. If you do not give, curses are going to come upon you. If you give, the whole manipulation that is taking place in what is so-called churches right now, it should not be so. It shouldn't be so. People need to learn to love so much that they give, for we are born of love, and love gives. Yahuwah loved us so much John 3 verse 16 says that he gave. Yahusha loves us even himself so much that he laid down his life. We are born of love, and that's why we give, and we give joyfully. When we read the book of Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter 28 from verse 47 to verse 48, Moshe is also admonishing Yasharal. He says to them, because you did not serve Yahuwah your Eloah with joy and gladness of heart for all the plenty, you shall serve your enemies whom Yahuwah sends against you in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in need of all, and he shall put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. If you do not serve Yahuwah from the gladness of heart, this is what's going to happen to you. And Moshe warned Yasharal in Devarim chapter 28 verse 47 to 48, or Deuteronomy 28 verse 47 to 48. It says, because you did not, the curses that are happening unto you is because you did not serve Yahuwah your Eloah with joy, with gladness of heart. Then you're now going to end up serving people who don't care for you, people whom you're going to serve in nakedness, in hunger, with thirst, or in thirst, as well as yoke of iron under your necks. This is what we see even when we watch the movies that depict the slavery of Black Americans, which happened through the trade, the slave trade that happened a long time ago. And majority of them are, yes, they are in America, but they are scattered across all the four corners of the earth. In South America, North America, Europe, India, South Africa, we are spread as the people of Yahuwah across the world, because he said to us that if you do not obey me, if you do not live according to my word, if you do not serve me with the gladness of heart as my people, because Yisharal or Yasharal is Yahuwah's witness, is Yahuwah's servant, then these curses will come upon you. And these are the curses that are now listed in Deuteronomy or Devarim chapter 28. But it is time that we repent. We now know who we are. We now know that we are the people who have been scattered across the four corners of the earth as a result of disobedience. We are the people that Yahuwah spoke about in the book of Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter 28. Not the people that call themselves Jews. Those people are the ones that the book of Revelation chapter 2 verse 9 and Revelation chapter 3 verse 9 refers to, that there are some that call themselves the Yahudim, or they call themselves the Jews, but they are not. In fact, they are the synagogue of Hasatan. We are the people that he called us, that if we repent, he will restore us into our land. As we close this whole series of the Reign of Yahuah, I want us to close with this understanding, now with the understanding of why are we teaching from the Hebrew perspective. I've already explained why from the Hebrew perspective. Now in closure, I want to remind you, even every time when I open the teaching, I introduce myself and I say that my name is Abigail. And indeed, my name is Abigail. Abigail is actually a Hebrew name. I didn't know this. Abigail is a Hebrew name which means father's joy, father's delight. As we are looking at the definition that the reign of Yahuwah is joy, the reign of Yahuwah is delight, the reign of Yahuwah is gladness. My name means father's delight. For if you break it down, A-B or Aleph Beit means father. Hence, when you hear me when I speak and I say that Aleph Beit, or our Father who is in the Shamayim, or Aleph Beth Ba Shamayim. It means Father, AB, Father of joy, Father of delight. So, or it could also be explained as the one whom the Father is delighted in, the one who Father's joy or Father's delight. That is my name. I wouldn't have understood this if Yahuah had not led me through the Hebrew perspective. I actually thought that I had an English name, like many black people who have a vernacular name, which they are called by in their homes, and they also have an English name who are called by that they are called by at school. We know this whole thing of dual names and an English name and a vernacular name came as a result because the whites were not prepared to learn to pronounce our language. They would just say, oh, what's your name? And then you say, my name is Ndomkona. Then they're going to say, no, you're not Ndomkona, you are so and so. Exactly what happened with Kholishasha Mandela. He went to school that day. They asked him, what is your name? And he said, Kholishasha Mandela. And then obviously they struggled to pronounce Kholishasha. They said, from now on, you are Nelson. Nelson, he was that name. I know it's a famous name right now, that is Nelson Mandela, but it was not the name that was given by his parents at birth. It was at school that the whites did not want to learn to pronounce his name, Kholishasha. They said, your name henceforth is Nelson. This is how black people, we grew up, that we ended up having two names, the one that will make it convenient for the white folks, and then the other one that our parents will then name us based on their feeling or their appreciation of our birth at the particular time. So I'm not an exception to what most majority of the blacks. I have two names. My vernacular name is Ndombikona, and I was named by my father, and he named me Ndomkona because I was the firstborn. I was his first child. And when he heard that my mother had given birth and that my mother had given birth to a girl, he was so happy on my arrival. He was so happy on my birth. And then he said, Intombi isikhona. Intombi is a girl in English. And Isikhona means the girl has arrived. And that's how my name came about, Ndomkona. So I know exactly what my name means. I know that I was born out of love. I know when I came on this earth, my father was so happy. And he said, Intombi, Isikhona. But if you just have an English name that has no meaning because you just take the cultures and the names of other people, that is why it is so important to know things from a perspective in which that name came about. I have so much appreciation of my name, Dobikola, because I know the context under which it came about. But if it was just going to be translated, it would have been, the girl is here. Imagine being called the girl is here. There's no meaning in that. But I know it's not just a matter of translating, but it's a context. What was happening at the time? How was my father feeling at the time? The joy, the exultation and gladness and delight that he had, my father, when I was born, which makes me think, which then takes me to my English name, then Abigail, because I asked my mother, because my mother named me Abigail. So I had my vernacular name from my father, who named me Ndomkona. Then the English name I had it from, which I thought, by the way, and everybody at home thought it was English, that she named me Abigail. And when I asked her, Mama, why did you name me Abigail? She couldn't give me the story that my father gave me of he was so happy that I was his first child, that what Intombi Isikhona, or the girl has arrived. The explanation that my mother had was that I loved the singer Abigail Gubega, and that's why I named you after her. It's okay For her, it was out of love, a love for a musician, a singer, Abigail Kubega. But nobody still understands what does Abigail mean. Her reference of Abigail just is to do with a singer. But what exactly does it mean? She didn't know. It was later when I started, Yahuwah started to lead me in the Hebrew ways. It revealed to me that I'm actually a Yasharal, that I got the meaning of Abigail, that Abigail is actually not an English name. It is actually a Hebrew name, which means father's joy, father's delight. And now look at this pattern. Just like my natural biological father was so delighted when I was born, just like my natural biological father was so joyous, was so happy when I was born, also my Father in heaven was so happy when I was born. And then he said, this one is my joy. This one is my delight. And with the understanding that now I have of my name, not only from my father's perspective, natural father, but my Father who is in the Shemayim, the creator of the heavens and the earth, that he called me Abigail. I am his joy. This understanding then of my name, it makes me to always be conscious of who I am, conscious of myself, conscious of my conduct. Does my conduct reflect the joy of Yahuwah, the joy of my Father, the delight of my Father? What I'm doing, how I conduct myself, how I behave, is my Father pleased with me? Is my Father maintains the joy that he has for me? Does what I do brings him joy? Does what I do bring him delight? And then if it's not, I will immediately repent. If what I'm saying, it does not bring delight and joy to my Father, I'm so quick to repent. If my actions are not bringing joy and delight to my Father, I quickly repent. Why? For I know from the Hebrew perspective what is the meaning of the name. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the relationship that I now have with Yahuwah if it wasn't from the Hebrew perspective. Hence, I started by going through the teaching as to why should the teaching be from the Hebrew perspective? Why should our lifestyles be from the Hebrew perspective? It is also that the lifestyle, is it bringing joy? My lifestyle, is it bringing joy and delight to my Aleph Beit, to my Father? Am I living after my name? When he looks at my lifestyle, is he pleased with me? And the lifestyle that I have, even later on, I then understood that it's not just from the Hebrew perspective, but actually that I am Hebrew. I'm not just adopting the Hebrew ways of doing things. I am Hebrew. For the Azanian people are Hebrews. The word Azania, you can Google it. It is of Hebrew origin. It is of Hebrew origin. Yes, it was changed, later changed from Azania to Bantu. And there's a teaching that I provided with the whole explanation of why the Bantu people, the group of the Bantu people, or the Azanian, that they are Hebrews. Where it comes from historically and from the word point of view, biblically. Because I explained this, that the IAH at the end, like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Nehemiah, those IAH at the end were included to remove the word Yah. Hence, it's Yashia, it's Yarmia, it's Matithia. All these Yah, they were removed to be so that we will lose our identity. So also, it is not Azania with IAH at the end. It is Azania, from Yah, I am, from Yah, the short word for Yahuwah. This then is when Yahuwah says, if my people who are called by myself, called by his name, in the name Yahusha, you say Yah, the name of Yahuwah is in it. So this is why it is important to really know who we are. I would urge you to please go through the playlist that I titled on YouTube. This playlist is called Yasharel or Israel. Know your history, know your identity, know the Creator's identity, and also know the Son's identity. In that, I provided a whole teaching about that the Azanian people are actually Hebrews, that the Azanian people are actually Yasharal, even to the specific of that they're coming from the tribe of Levite. That is in that particular teaching. I'm going to put the link in the description below, just if you want, as you're listening to this teaching, if you want to go back to the teaching about the Azanian people that were later, the name was later changed to Bandu. And that Azania refers to Azania, who are Hebrews and who are Yesharal or Yasharal. Even when you Google right now, when you say Azan, it will tell you that this is a name of Hebrew origin. A lot of people do not know their identity. And knowing your identity does not make you more superior than other people. It just brings about the responsibility of being the servant of Yahuwah, of being a witness of Yahuwah. For Yahusha said in his word in Matthew chapter 24, that this message of the reign, this message of the kingdom shall be proclaimed, shall be preached, shall be proclaimed in all the earth, and then in all the earth, then the end shall come. So if we're not proclaiming this reign of Yahuwah, if we're not proclaiming this reign of Yahuwah, we are actually delaying the second coming of Yahusha. We are actually delaying the coming of Yahuwah, of Yahusha. The whole the time that we are now living in, it is the time of people knowing that they are, knowing your identity. It is a time that was prophesied in Ezekiel chapter 38, when Ezekiel or Azakia, also I'm still learning the Hebrew terms, but as we know it, Ezekiel, when he was taken to a valley of dry bones, and Yahuwah says, prophesy, can this, son of man, can this bone live? And Ezekiel says, only you know. And Yahuwah instructed Ezekiel to prophesy, Ezekiel 38. And when he started prophesying, then there was a rattling of the bones, then there was shaking, and then as he continued to prophesy, then the skin and the sinews started to be on the bones. And then lastly, Yahuwah said, breathe life to this resurrected body that has not life. And then he then said, this is Yasharel, who had gone, whom I had dispersed across the face of the earth, through the four corners of the earth, having lost their identity. Now they shall come forth and now know that who they are. Not only will they know who they are, but the two houses that had divided from the 12 sons of Yasharel, being the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, the Yahudim, which was the two tribes, mainly being Yehuda and Benjamin, who were later joined by 50% or half of the Levites. Then the northern kingdom, which is known as the Samaritans, that the two shall become one kingdom, one reign, one house of Israel, no longer two kingdoms, no longer the southern and the northern kingdom. But not only them are they going to be one, but even the Goyim, even the other nations will then come and join with the stick of Yisrael, and they will all become one, which is what Jacob or Yasharel prophesied in Bereshit or Genesis chapter 48 before he died, when he was blessing his sons, when he adopted the sons of Yosef, otherwise known as Joseph. And then he said that he is adopting Manasseh and Ephraim to take the same status, the same position as Reuben, as Shimon. And that is exactly the whole reason that Yahuah revealed himself to the world through Yasharel, that through Yasharel the world can then come back to him. It is his prerogative that he chose Yasharel as his servant, just like it was his prerogative that it is through Yahushua HaMashiach that the whole world can be reconciled to Yahuwah himself. It is not by any other prophet or any other religion or any other person, but those people that are rejecting the one that Yahuwah has appointed to be the intercessor, the reconciler between men and Yahuwah, then they will not have Yahuwah. So all this is not about knowing your identity so that you can be pompous, but that you can know the responsibility that you have of bringing other people unto Yahuwah. Even as we close, the book of Romans says this, that even the earth yearns with groanings for the manifestation of the sons of Yahuwah, for the revealing of the sons of Yahuwah. For not only the people are the ones in it, even the whole nature suffered, the whole animals and plants and everything, that the earth is now having thistles and thorns as a result of the sin that came. The animals are not enjoying what they used to enjoy before. Hence, it is the entire world, the entire earth that is yearning for that the sons of Yahuwah be revealed. For when they are revealed, when they know their identity, they are going to bring all men unto Yahuwah, even as Yahushua did, that when the Son of Man is lifted up, then he will draw all men unto Yahuwah. This is the reign of Yahuwah. This is the kingdom of Yahuwah. And this is the importance of understanding and knowing the reign of Yahuwah. For we have such a great responsibility to come out of the reign of this world and instead live in the reign of Yahuwah. Please make sure that if you have missed some of these teachings on this series, go back to them, and if you have any questions, please, I'm happy to answer any questions that you raise. And if I'm not able to, I'm sure that our brothers and sisters out there will be able to answer such questions that you may have, as Busisiwe is available in almost all social media platforms, being TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, as well as Twitter, Twitter. And with that, thank you so much for listening, and be the doer of the word and not only a hearer. That's what Shema is, implementing what you have heard, and not only hear the word, deceiving yourself, even as the word says that do not be like someone who looks at himself in the mirror and afterward he forgets how he looks like. This is what we need to do. Implement what you have learned and be the doer of the word. Shalom, everyone.